Hey everybody, Doggy798 here, back with another video, and this time I'm doing several franchises that need to become live action films. Some of these franchises have been announced, but there's not been much development on them. The first one that needs to become a franchise is Naruto. I think a Naruto live action film could work. I saw what they did with Dragon Ball Evolution and Dragon Ball Evolution. That was practically more Naruto than it was DBE. That was practically even though there was some Dragon Ball stuff, there was more stuff from Naruto than there was Dragon Ball in that film, and that you can make that's why I love DBE so much. DBE gave me hope that several other things could be made, and I think a Naruto live action film is next, and I feel that's the next step. I feel the manga, or that should be ending soon. That should be ending soon. The anime, whatever anime is still going on, the anime is, and then of course they've had several animated movies which have been box office gold. It's now time to make the next step, and that's live action. That's the one thing, in my opinion, Naruto hasn't done. The next one is Bleach. Warner Brothers had recently announced that they announced it 3 years ago that they would be doing a Bleach live action film. Of course, Tite Kubo dismissed any ideas of a Bleach live action film because he said he wanted to make Bleach an entertaining experience that could only be experienced by reading the manga. But I think a Bleach live action film could work. I've seen some pretty damn good Bleach cosplays, and I think you can do a Bleach live action film in what's his name. However, the only problem I think that would be a problem is Ichigo's orange hair. But I think a Bleach live action film would be really good. The characters do look realistic for animation or cartoon or something. And all the unrealistic stuff in the show, if you have to have that, can be done with CGI. And of course you can have the flash step and all the intense fighting, because it was cinema that it was partially cinema that inspired Bleach. So yeah. The next is the SNK fighting franchise. For those of you who don't know what the SNK fighting franchises are, that's the most popular: Fatal Fury, King of Fighters, Art of Fighting, and World Heroes and Samurai Showdown. Samurai Showdown I don't really care about, but World Heroes, Fatal Fury, King of Fighters, and Art of Fighting, I want live action adaptation of those. I want a live action SNK fighting game cinematic universe, man. Of course, I can understand not doing Art of Fighting, because the Art of Fighting video game, that's kind of obscure, but the characters themselves have survived through their inclusion of the King of Fighters game. But I would love another Fatal Fury. I would love a Fatal Fury live action film and another King of Fighters live action film. Then I guess if that's popular, you can do Art of Fighting. And I would also love a World Heroes live action film. They'll probably never do this because World Heroes is kind of obscure, but that was a badass fighting game with a badass backstory. I'll talk more about this in another video. The next one is Vampire Hunter D, the Japanese cult classic anime film from the 80s. I recently saw this film and I love this film. This film is one of the best animes of all time. I actually saw this film for the first time in '95, but I quickly forgot about it. And then rediscovered here in the 2000s, and this film right here was just awesome. And they recently announced a live action film and an anime television series. Hope they get that anime television series done, and I hope they get this live action series done, because I think this can make a badass live action film, the Vampire Hunter D film. Next franchise, of course, is Ben 10. I think Ben 10 is stale, and I think live action is the next best thing, man. Ben 10 Omniverse is a good show, but I think a live action, big budgeted comic book movie in theaters is good. I did a video back on that in 2011. Not much information about the Ben 10 movie, which has been announced by Warner Brothers, is known, but they need to really get that done, the Ben 10 live action film. Of course, Mattel announced a Max Steel live action film. I love Max Steel. The new animated cartoon on Disney XD is awesome. It's awesome. I haven't been watching it lately, but I've seen several episodes of that show. That show is awesome, and I love the original Max Steel television series from the early 2000s, and that's something that needs to get made. Of course, they announced that I think 5 years ago, 2009, and they will be doing a Max Steel movie starring Taylor Lautner. Of course, I think Taylor Lautner recently dropped out to do something else. I hope they get that Max Steel movie done. Next movie, of course, is Thundercats. Warner Bros. Announced a CGI Thundercats movie. That would be good, but I want live action, man. I think a Thundercats live action film can be made. And of course, I think of course that won't be happening anytime soon, because Warner Bros. After the box office failure of Speed Racer, they don't really want to do any other live action properties of other things. But Thundercats is way more popular than Speed Racer and survived way longer than Speed Racer. So that whole crap about Thundercats not being making a Speed Racer is crap, and they're talking about a CGI film. I want a live action film. The next film, of course, this never got made either, but one of the coolest fighting games of all time is Soul Calibur. A cool movie, a cool Soul Calibur with the original story centered around the characters from the games. That would be pretty badass. But of course, I highly doubt they'll ever get made. That's been in developmental hell for a long time now. The next is Deadman, the DC hero. That's a DC comic book hero. They recently announced they did several years ago announced the film directed by Guillermo del Toro. I can't pronounce his name, but he's the guy who directed Hellboy and Blade 2, and the Blade trilogy. A film directed by him would be badass. They're also talking about a live-action television series which never got developed. I want to see some other DC heroes besides Batman and Superman. So yeah, Deadman movie would be awesome. Next movie, of course, is the video game-based series Devil May Cry. Devil May Cry is an awesome video game that I think can translate well to live action. They recently announced this a couple of years ago, that they'll be adapting Devil May Cry. The director of the Resident Evil franchise will be doing it. Of course, I hope it's way better than the Resident Evil franchise, because I think that's kind of terrible. But Devil May Cry, I think that can make a badass live action film. Next film, of course, is God of War. God of War, I think this is a badass video game film that could transform to live action. I don't care much for it anymore, but the movie 300, that's practically God of War, man. That was practically God of War. So a God of War movie can be made. They recently announced the film, but they don't have a director. The next video game film I want them to turn into a movie is Prototype. Prototype is about a guy named Alex Mercer who can shapeshift, and he goes around, and I think in a post-apocalyptic world. Actually it's not a post-apocalyptic world. In a really destructive environment, fighting other criminals infected by a virus. You got a cool, underrated video game with a badass story that can translate well to live action. The next one is Prototype's rival, Infamous. This is one of the greatest games on the PS3. Actually, it is the greatest game on the PS3. It's about a guy named Cole McGarth who has electric powers and is in a post-apocalyptic world, shooting stuff. This game right here is a pretty badass game, and I think it can translate well to live action. Of course, and nothing has been said about that. The next one is Turok live action film. They announced back in 2008 that a Turok live action film was under the way, starring Adam Beach, but they're developing the script, and there's not been much development on it. But these right here are my franchises that need to become movies. In my opinion, someone needs to adapt these franchises into live action movies. Alright, Doug8798 out. I'll be talking about these franchises individually in separate reviews. Alright, out.